My name is Atif Kamal, and this is another video on logic and reasoning. This one is on the subalternate relationship of propositions. If you have any questions, comments, and feedback, you can send them to katif@gmail.com. You can do the same using my Skype user ID, atif.kamal. Please check out my website, webs.logicandreasoning.com. There you will find my links to other videos on logic and reasoning, as well as supplementary exercises. There's a forum to leave questions and comments for me or the other viewers. There's a link to a chat room to discuss content live, either while or while not watching the videos. There's information on when I'm available to discuss content live and information on how to earn certificates. Okay, now I'm going to move on to why it's important to know how to formulate and identify the subalternate relationships of propositions. Let's say you have this little girl who goes to elementary school. She's getting teased by several boys. And so she says, because those boys are stupid, every boy must be stupid. Now, she's an example of an individual who does not understand how the subalternate relationship of propositions works. If she did, she would know that she's making an overgeneralization and that it is logically unjustified to do that. I'll give you a couple more examples. Let's say this person encounters several individuals from a particular race who are rude to him or her. And then so here she says, okay, so every person from this particular race must be rude. That person would be making an overgeneralization. Let's say you have several individuals from another race, and a person who encounters them thinks that they're smart, and so for that reason, every individual from that race must be smart. That would be an overgeneralization. So one problem with not knowing how the subalternate relationship of propositions works and which propositions have that relationship is that you can make overgeneralizations. Now let's say this little girl could prove that it's true that every single boy is stupid. Then she would be logically justified in saying that some boys are stupid. She could point to any given boy, she could point to her brother, a classmate, a stranger, and say each one of those boys is stupid. So the importance of that is that if you could prove that a universal statement is true, that you could prove that any example of that is true. Okay, now I'll show you some diagrams to depict both how a subalternate relationship does not work and how it does work. Okay, so you have some boys are stupid, you have all boys are stupid. If you can prove that it's true that at least one boy is stupid, it doesn't necessarily mean that every boy is stupid. When I say some, I usually mean at least one. But let's say you want to push it further. Let's say you can prove that it's true that several or many boys are stupid. Still, as long as that's not equivalent to every boy is stupid, you have not proven that it's true that every boy is stupid. Likewise, let's say you prove that it's true that at least one boy is not stupid. That doesn't mean that no boys are stupid, and likewise, again, we can push it further. Let's say you could prove it's true that several or many boys are not stupid. Again, as long as those are not equivalent to no boys are stupid, you have not proven on that basis that no boys are stupid. Logically, you have not proven that. Okay, now here are two more examples. These are two examples of how the subalternate relationship of propositions actually works. Let's say you can prove that it's true that every laptop gets viruses. Okay, then it would be true that some laptops get viruses. And again, you could point to any given laptop and say that each one of those laptops gets a virus. And now, again, let's say you could prove that it's true that no laptops get viruses. Then you would be logically justified in pointing to any given laptop and saying that laptop doesn't get viruses, that laptop doesn't get viruses, those laptops don't get viruses. Okay. Now, going back to the first set of propositions, every laptop gets viruses. Some laptops get viruses. You notice that the first proposition, it has a universal quantity and a positive quality, and some laptops get viruses has a particular quantity and a positive quality. Their quantity is different, but their quality stays the same. Now look at the second set of propositions again. No laptops get viruses, has a universal quantity and a negative quality. Some laptops do not get viruses, has a particular quantity and a negative quality. They have the same quality but different quantity. Okay. Now here are some examples for you to try. For the men are aggressive, I want you to make two pairs of over-generalizations. Make a positive over-generalization and a negative over-generalization. And for the second proposition, I want you to show me the positive version of how the subalternate relationship of propositions works, and also make the negative version. I'll give you a few moments to work on that. If you need more time, you can pause the video. Otherwise, I will move on to the answers. Okay, so if you can prove that at least one man is aggressive, you do not necessarily prove logically that every man is aggressive. If you could prove it's true that at least one man is not aggressive, you do not necessarily logically prove that no man is aggressive. And again, this is true again even if you prove that several men or many men are or are not aggressive. Okay, now if you could prove that it's true that every tree changes colors in the fall, then you'd be logically justified in saying that some trees change colors in the fall. Likewise, if you could prove that it's true that no trees change colors in the fall, then you'd be logically justified in saying that some trees do not change colors in the fall. And again, you could point to any given tree and say, that tree changes colors in the fall, or doesn't. That tree changes colors in the fall, or doesn't. Okay, now here's an idea for you for some extended practice using the propositions that you made from the propositions components video. You can make yourself examples of over-generalizations, how the subalternate relationship of propositions does not work. And you could also make examples of how the subalternate relationship of propositions do work. What I would suggest is you rewrite your propositions, because if you use the exercises, the suggested practice from the videos on contrary and contradictory propositions, it's probably going to get really messy. And also, I have not emphasized this in the past, but I'm going to tell you now. Don't worry about the actual accuracy of your propositions. Do not worry if they're actually true or false. If you do worry about that, you're going to make it harder to make exercises, and it'll take you longer to make them. All we want right now is practice, and you don't need to worry about your propositions being true or false to get that practice. Okay, so next up we'll talk about the sub-contrary relationship of propositions. These are important as a starting point for argument, because at least one of them has to be true. It can't be false that at least one laptop gets viruses and at least one laptop does not get. Yeah, those cannot both be false at the same time. It cannot be false that at least one laptop gets viruses and at least one laptop does not get viruses. For that reason, at least one of them has to be true. Or it could be true. It could also be true that some laptops do and do not get viruses. I'll talk about that in greater detail in the next video. Thank you.